Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that we're going to dive into tonight is something that I really want to highlight: the open hypocrisy and the duplicity of the gun controllers. They will take a tragedy, and like what we're going to talk about right now is the Charlotte shooting where it killed the police officers in North Carolina yesterday. They will pick and choose which narrative they want to push. We're going to go through all of this right now. I'm going to show you their response, but this is exactly the same tactic that they used in the Memphis rolling battle that we covered a week ago. Still, mum's the word doesn't exist. There's always the narrative that is the most important thing. The story here is not the tragedy that occurred. The story is the way the gun controllers are reacting, because it undermines them completely. Everything that I'm about to show you is going to be linked in the description box below. I can't wait to hear what you guys think, and of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is run the article we're going to cover from CNN through ground.news. This is an app and a website that helps us get the story behind the story. Who owns the article producers? Who pays for it? What's the bias? All these things. Check this out. If you go here, you can see CNN's got a left-leaning bias. 331 sources have covered this, and when you dive into the actual dispersion of the bias, it tells you a whole different story. For example, check this out. CNN is rated by high factuality, leaning to the left, and owned by Warner Brothers Discovery. If I go down to the dispersion of the actual topic in general, 331 sources covered this, and there is the complete distribution of where everyone falls in that spectrum. But ground.news/Langley, there's a link in the description box below. Check it out. I think it's something worth your time, and thank you to them for making this content possible. All right, beautiful people, we've got to talk about this. Remember the Kansas City shooting that happened after the Super Bowl, and the left came out and it was a very visceral reaction for forcing for gun control. Then the details came out that it was 12 people all shooting at each other and an innocent bystander was killed, and they were all felons and they all didn't have the ability to actually own guns per the actual standing codes. And then it just disappeared. Then we had Memphis a week and a half ago that we covered on this channel. The video went to almost 1 million views in 3 days, where there was a rolling gun battle. You had ARs, you had Glock switches, you had underage, you had everything, and mum's the word, it didn't exist. Well, now, this story with 4 law enforcement officers being killed by a felon who had a firearm, existing gun law broken. Now they're also kind of mum's the word. There is no it's the effing guns, there is no take all the guns now, there is no common sense gun reform, nothing. Watch this. There is tremendous amounts of similarity to this and the Memphis rolling battle that just didn't exist. The invisible mass shooting. Mom's Day in Action got retweeted by Everytown. They were just talking about how the felon possessed a firearm. Then that was about it. Nothing else. On to routine business. Mom's Day in Action reposted the AP saying what was actually occurring. That was 18 hours ago. Giffords.org was saying, hey, number 1 cause of death for on-duty police, kind of similar to what they want to say with number 1 cause of death for children, but didn't say anything else. Then you go to Brady United. They retweeted something from their president, said it's a race against good guys versus bad. Again, not calling for gun control. And then the last one that they retweeted from Brady was gun safety is police safety, which is the closest one to gun control calls, with proliferation of firearms talking points and assault rifles. So what's the difference here? Why are they not out there screaming from the rooftops? Davey Hogg isn't doing it. Moms Demand Action isn't doing it. Everytown for Gun Safety, none of them are doing it. And this story is fading from the limelight. Why? If you were going against ARs and they wanted to ban assault weapons, don't you think a case where 4 police officers were killed by an assault weapon would be a good one for them to scream, take the assault weapons from the rooftops? Now, of course, I'm not for that solution at all. Our gun rights are sacrosanct. But you have to understand the difference in the way that they are reacting is very telling to the story itself. In fact, look at some of the details. 4 officers were killed in a shooting while attempting to serve a warrant at a home in Charlotte, North Carolina, including 1 deputy U.S. Marshal and 2 local task force officers. The tragedy here is awful. But again, why are they covering it in this manner? Why are they not screaming? Let's keep going. Maybe we can ascertain something here. The shooting in Charlotte happened as members of a U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force were serving a warrant for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. That's weird. The officers were met with gunfire from a high-powered rifle and returned fire, fatally shooting the suspect in the front yard of the house. Okay? Piece of crap. Bye. But the interesting part here, maybe that has something to do with it. The idea that a felon had a gun, which would conflict with the gun control that which these groups are consistently pushing. Maybe that has something to do with the selective outrage that they deploy, the selective pushes. If not, they just push it to the side. In fact, let's go one more thing for you. 2 firearms recovered from residents, police say. Authorities identified the deceased suspect as a piece of trash. He was wanted for possession of a firearm by a felon and 2 counts of felony flee to elude out of Lincoln County, North Carolina, police said. The guns in question were the AR-15 and a .40 caliber handgun, along with additional magazines and ammunition. So here's again the question, and this brings the shades of the Memphis Invisible shooting, which we covered out. If you've got an entire apparatus of gun control that's consistently pushing for banning of assault weapons, of which they've identified as assault weapons, right? That would be AR-15s in this case. You had AR-15s in the Invisible mass shooting in Memphis. You have AR-15s in this case where 4 police officers or U.S. Marshals were killed by a felon with a firearm, and you had the shooting in Kansas City of the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, all of these things completely disappear the second that it doesn't fit the narrative. Now, the reason that I'm going at this angle is because the absence of reaction is more the story than their actual reaction. Because you know that they are ready to fully deploy all of the vitriol that they have for taking assault weapons, but for some reason they're holding it back here. Probably has something to do with the idea that felons are already against the law to have firearms like this, and yet they can't make a story out of this because it conflicts with the idea that gun control works. Everything that we are covering recently around these tragedies, their lack of action and their actions are more so evidence against them than they are for them. Spread this stuff out, because when you see what they are not covering, that again screams louder than what they are. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.